What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Blue Collar Sports. We appreciate you guys tuning in today, and I am going to kick off today's show by apologizing that we did not have a show coming for you on Tuesday, as I was feeling a bit under the weather, but back feeling good. The weather's nice down here in Boise, Idaho, as we're at the Pulse Radio studio at Boise State University. You're listening to Blue Collar Sports. Lots of sports to talk about today. NFL free agency was much more exciting than I think any of us expected. I did not see that coming, but that was very exciting. We got lots of NBA talk. Playoffs are about 3 weeks away now, I believe.
Getting close.
Getting close to the NBA playoffs, so that's coming up. And MLB, not going to touch a whole lot on it today, but that is right around the corner as well. So it's an exciting time in the sports land, and that's what we're going to try to bring you here today at Blue Collar Sports.
Yeah, the past couple of weeks have been fantastic with lots of breaking news, and this week is nothing else just like that. Free agency has been going on. It's been crazy in the NFL world. NBA is coming down to an end, like you said, so there's a lot to cover today. And it is our last show. We're heading into spring break this next week, so this will be our last show for over a week. So unfortunate, but it's going to be a packed show today, and we can't wait to get to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show today. We appreciate you guys tuning in, whether it's through the Radio FX app or right here and through Periscope on our Twitter page. We got Twitter, we got Instagram, we got YouTube. We got it all if you want to touch on that before we get into the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow us on social media, Blue Collar Sports. We got Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We have all our shows if you're watching right now on Periscope. So fantastic way to be a part of us, and you can reach out to us any way you want.
This is our 107th show, and it's time to kick it off now with a little NBA talk for first segment. Lots has been going on. The West, I'm looking at the standings right now, and we've been talking a lot about the Lakers and the Celtics the last couple of weeks. That talk's kind of over. Lakers are pretty much out of it. They sit 7 games back now with, I believe, just about 10 games remaining probably. I think about 15 games remaining. So it's still a shot, but it's a lot of shots. Celtics have started to play better, but I wanted to start off today with a question about the Warriors. And they've kind of had an interesting period. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Steve Kerr was shown talking negatively about Draymond Green. They started kind of turning to, everyone's talking about his Boogie Cousins a negative because of his defense. Are the Warriors beatable this year to you?
They have seemed a little bit more vulnerable than they have in the past couple of seasons. It could also be that they're tired. This is the kind of stretch they're going to go through. They've been through this before. Winning multiple championships in a row is very tiring, and so I think it's really getting to them. But once they get to the playoffs, I still believe they are by far the best team, and they should be able to flip that switch. They've done it before and mow through everybody. So I'm not too worried right now, but I do think they are a little bit more vulnerable than they have been before. So I wouldn't take any team lightly right now.
We saw them beat Houston last night by 2 in a big-time game. Seemed to have their energy back. But watching this, in Houston, they had won 9 in a row coming into this game. They've now won 9 out of the last 10 with losing last night. But I do think Houston's probably the best team to beat Golden State because they match up well with Golden State. I don't think Houston's the second best team in the NBA, but I think they were 1 game away from beating them last year. It's a similar roster. They lost some of their toughness, but they could still score at will. Houston's a team that I think Golden State could have troubles with again come playoff time. But other than Houston, what are some other teams you think that could make a run at it in the West?
Yeah, I do believe Houston would probably be the best team to upset possibly of the Warriors. They match up well. They play a similar style but their own way, and it doesn't do well for Golden State defensively. So if Houston's clicking, they're able to win. They should have done it last year, but other than them, I do like Oklahoma City still. I think they have a tough brand of basketball, and if they're physical, they're getting into Golden State's skin. And if Golden State's acting like they are right now, I do think Oklahoma could have a shot. Denver's another top team. I don't think I'm ready to put them up there yet.
Right.
Portland always has a good matchup against Golden State. That would be very interesting to see. I know Charles Barkley kind of threw out that Portland would be the NBA Finals teams, but
that was weird.
Don't know about that one, but I do think there's some top teams in the West, and they all have a legit competitive shot at competing with the Warriors.
I want to talk about the Thunder. We talked about that a couple weeks ago on this show. I talked about how I was starting to really buy into the Thunder because of how good Paul George was doing. Russell Westbrook was starting to give the ball up and give up some of the team to Paul George. The last couple weeks have really made me nervous about things, specifically the last week, watching Russell Westbrook specifically. I've never been a huge fan of Russell Westbrook. I like the guy. He's fun to watch. He's entertaining. I love his motor. He never stops. But what I've seen from him the last week is what I've seen from him in the playoffs the last couple of years, and where he's starting to make it about him again. I understand the Utah situation with the fan. If you guys haven't seen that video, it's kind of hard to watch. It shows the interaction with fans and players, and he's had some. We saw firsthand last year.
Yeah.
He's had some issues in Utah. I know a lot of people have had issues in Utah. They got quite an interesting fan base down there. But not only that, we saw him go after Yusuf Nurkic and that whole thing with the Portland Trailblazers. It's starting to remind me of what happened last year in the playoffs when things started to go a little south. He attacked Ricky Rubio and said, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to beat Ricky Rubio. He didn't say they're going to beat the Jazz. He said, I'm going to go out and beat Ricky Rubio. And that's what I'm starting to see right now is I'm scared he's going to start making it about him again, and that's when he starts to make stupid mistakes. The Thunder are starting to worry me, Russell Westbrook specifically. But if they can pull it together, I think this team is good enough to really play with anyone.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Excuse me. They've been playing collectively all season long, but recently Russell, we know he kind of gets ahead of himself sometimes, can kind of go a little wild. And so if he does that, I don't know exactly how this team can take those next steps. They've been playing so well, and he's been putting himself behind. So I think he needs to do that again, play like they have been in the beginning of the season, and I think they'll be just fine.
So looking at, before we move to the Eastern Conference, look at the Western Conference right now standings. Warriors sit at the top spot. Nuggets sit in second. They're a game and a half back. Thunder jumped Houston after they lost last night, and they're sitting in the third spot. But they are tied, the same record as Houston, who has the fourth spot. Portland's a half game behind them at 5. San Antonio jumps Utah to get to 6. They won 6 in a row. Utah sitting at 7, and they're a half game ahead of the Clippers at 8. What are some of your favorite first round matchups you want to see? That can happen, that are realistic. No Lakers.
I would like to see the Lakers and the Nuggets. That would be the best matchup because they would win that one. They played pretty well recently, but other than that,
what, against Chicago?
Yeah, that's a good team. I think all these matchups are gonna be fantastic. I can't wait to see it. Clippers play a great defensive type of style, so I'd really like to see them match up against anybody. Really, I think they could give any team a legit shot,
they won't back down from anyone.
5-6 games. In the playoffs. So all of these, honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's obviously could be a little bit better if there's one other team in there. It'd be even more exciting. But I do think a lot of these matchups are going to be very exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be good to watch. I love where Utah's sitting right now. They're sitting in 7th, which is perfect. They played Denver really well. I'd much rather have them play Denver than play the Thunder, Rockets, Blazers, etc. But Western Conference is going to be very interesting. Can't wait to watch that. Moving to the Eastern Conference, so we've talked a lot about the Celtics. They started to turn around for a little bit. They destroyed the Warriors. Kyrie started to play better, but they dropped their last game. They're still 4-6 in their last 10. They're sitting in the 5th spot right now, 2 games back of the Pacers, who fell to 4th after the Sixers beat them. They have the same record. The Sixers on the tiebreaker. I know you last time you were talking about the Celtics and the Sixers. Mm-hmm. Who is still your favorite?
So right now I do believe Celtics are still the most talented team. I do have them at my number 1 team in the East. But I do like the Sixers still. I've said that before. I still think they are right there with them. With Boston's up and downs, I don't know if they're all there all together. I still believe Philadelphia has a shot at upsetting them and possibly make it all the way.
I would not want to play Indiana round 1, too. That's where Boston's sitting right now. I know I'd much rather play them than Philadelphia round 1 because Philadelphia was sitting at 4. But Indiana's a tough place to play. And playoff time, LeBron saw last year. They took them to 7 games. I know they don't have Oladipo, but that's still a very tough. That's a basketball city right there. That's a tough place to play come playoff time. I would want to stay away from them, but Boston's looking like they're going to get Philly or Indiana, and it looks like it will most likely be on the road. So they could have a tough path. I still like Toronto the most. I'm excited. I'm going to watch them tonight. They play LA. It'll be a good game there. Kawhi versus LeBron, but this roster is talented enough, so it'll be interesting to see what they do.
I do like Toronto too. I still like Milwaukee's a nice team also, so we can't count out them. I believe the 5 teams, including Indiana now, I know they're a tough team to play. So five of those teams in the East, I think, have a legit shot at making it, and they're playing well, just like they are over in the West. So I think the playoffs are set up for fantastic, lots of games.
Who's your MVP right now with a couple weeks left?
Ooh, I know Giannis has been having a season. I still want to go James Harden.
Yeah,
I do.
I think he might be your favorite right now.
Paul George is still in the mix, so I do think it'll be down to those 3. If LeBron James somehow gets his team into the playoffs, he's in the mix.
LeBron's nowhere near the conversation. Oh no, not a chance. It is interesting to think that. I mean, I would have never thought Paul George would be in the conversation. Giannis I liked, but still weird to see him as a front runner in MVP. Kind of been an interesting season, but it's going to be an interesting finish, that's for sure. Moving to college basketball, it is championship week. March Madness will be out. Selection Sunday is on Sunday. Zion will return to action and play in the ACC tournament. Thoughts on that?
Not what I would have done or what I thought was going to happen. I do think since he's been sitting out that he was just going to sit out the tournament. But I'm glad that he's coming back because that puts Duke as my favorite team to possibly win it. And I do think he's going to lift his team. They've lost 3 games since he's been out. They only lost 2 with him. So I do think he is the big part of this team. He is the reason they're one of the highest ranked teams in the nation. So I think this is going to be a big boost for the roster, the morale. I think they're going to really look at this and try win big. And I heard he is not going to be wearing Paul George's anymore. It sounds like he's going to wear Kyrie's, which is almost the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think those are really built for big guys either.
But that's what I'm glad that Zion's coming back, and obviously he's going to make a lot of people tune in and see this guy play.
So as we get into, we got a couple more minutes here before we head off into break. We got our top 10 NBA centers coming up for you as well. It's going to be a good segment. You're listening to Blue Collar Sports. But looking at college basketball, Gonzaga lost in their conference championship to St. Mary's the other night. Duke's dropped a couple without Zion. Virginia, right now, they're number 2. They took care of business today versus NC State. They're going to move on. North Carolina's played really well lately. But Virginia, they've shown, I mean, they can't beat Duke. They've also Duke twice pretty commandingly. They're only 2 losses. But that's a big team, and they'll have to go through teams like that. But North Carolina's been playing well. Who is your top team right now heading to March Madness? I don't think there really is a team that has separated themselves.
Yeah, because of the loss of Zion is set Duke back a little bit. I do believe North Carolina would probably be my number 1 team. I could trust them to always compete and play to the best of their abilities and play against everybody well. So I do believe North Carolina is probably the number 1 seed of the whole tournament that I would put. I still like Duke right behind them. Gonzaga, I do think they're very talented, of course. They're a really great team, but I don't know if I can really trust them when it comes down to the end right now with the loss of St. Mary's, who played very well that night. In Virginia, still, you don't know what they're going to do. They could break your hearts out of nowhere, just like last year.
Don't want to put a lot of trust into them.
I do believe North Carolina's been playing the best brand of basketball, and I think they're going to be one of the heavy favorites going into it.
Yeah, North Carolina's really surprised me. It kind of got off to a slow start. I thought it was going to be kind of a different season for North Carolina. They didn't have a lot of top freshmen. I know Nazir Little came in, but he struggled early. But Kobe White has really taken this team over.
Yeah.
And North Carolina's been kind of Roy Williams runs things a lot differently than Coach K and Coach Calipari in that he plays his seniors, he plays his older guys. He's not a huge believer in the one-and-done type of thing. But they got a couple freshmen that are playing well right now, and they're playing well as a team. I do like North Carolina a lot moving forward. Also, hats off to Boise State women's basketball winning the Mountain West. Always good to see Boise State. And our men's team right now is playing Nevada in the quarterfinals. They are up by 1 with 19 minutes left in the second half. So definitely go check that out. But March Madness is fast approaching.
Absolutely. And that means our bracket is going to be out here very soon. We did this last year. Blue Collar Sports Tournament Bracket, where you could vote for your teams, win a prize. We're going to be doing that this year again. And also we're going to have a poll on Twitter for you very soon. We'll have more on that later on the show.
Yeah, going to be great stuff. Right now we are going to head off to break as it is time to play a little music for you, but stay tuned. We got our top 10 NBA centers for you coming up. Again, we've done this for the last couple weeks. We've done every single position, so in case you've missed any of those, you want to see our point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards, they are on our Twitter. They're on YouTube. You go check those out through Periscope. But we got our top 10 NBA centers for you coming up, which means right around the corner we got our top 10 NBA players. In general, that'll be coming up for you in the next week or two. So going to be good stuff. We got our centers. It's a stacked position. Stay tuned. You're listening to Blue Collar Sports.